What's next doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't happen by chance. What's next happens when experience meets expertise, when data meets dollars, and when steel meets earth. What's next happens when the promising work of Pioneer state-of-the-art research centers meets the unsparing challenges of more than 17,000 on-farm trials. Our ultimate goal is to bring the next seed breakthrough to your fields, because Pioneer isn't just our name, it's our mission. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
This RealAg Radio podcast is brought to you by Economics. Everyone has questions about their farm. From general inquiries to in-depth fertilizer questions, find straightforward answers at nutrien-economics.com.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. Hey, thanks so much for making RealAg Radio and Rural Radio 147 a big part of your workday. And today is Thursday, which means only one thing. It's the Farmer Rapid Fire. That is our tradition around here. That's what we do. And the Farmer Rapid Fire is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. For more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges. With new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist E3 soybeans to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize your yield potential. Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. For American audience, just go to pioneer.com. If you want to go /Canada, you are more than welcome to do so. Indeed. Okay, today we got a great lineup of farmers to give us insights on what's going through their mind right now. What are their challenges? What are they working on? That kind of stuff. And this is a week where, unfortunately, it's turned a bit cooler. We got wet weather still impacting some of the central and eastern Canadian harvests. And it's turned to full-blown. Earlier, like on Wednesday, it was minus 17 in the Peace River region. So, yeah, winter. Gross. Don't like it. I don't think you do either. You can lie and say you do, but I don't believe you. We got Aaron Hargreaves from Brandon, Manitoba. Mike Shewchuk is from Blaine Lake, Saskatchewan. Josh Boersen is from Gads Hill, Ontario. And we've got Chuck Amyot, who is from New Lieskard, Ontario. If you have any feedback on today's show, you could definitely give me a call. It is 855-776-6147 is the RealAg listener line, or you can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com. Well, the World Series starts on Friday night, tomorrow. And boy, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. And I love when two teams that nobody expected, like, you know what? The TV networks, they want Yankees Dodgers every year. Just like they want Lakers Celtics. They want Blackhawks versus the Oilers. Like, you know what? Like TSN all they want is Sportsnet. All they want is Leafs and Oilers in the Stanley Cup every year. It's just the worst. Anyway, I like, in this situation, we got two teams that 2 years ago sucked terribly. We got the Arizona D-backs, who 2 years ago lost 110 games. That's a lot in a 162-game season. The Texas Rangers, they have like a 95 loss season, and 92, I think, in the last couple of years. So these are big turnarounds. And this is a good lesson in build a plan, even in the rock bottom of your business, or at least what you think is the rock bottom, and you haven't had success. What do we need to do to get on the right path? Having that plan and putting it in place and executing. Both these teams have rebuilt. Like, I'm a big baseball fan, so I could talk about this all day, and I won't bore you with it. But they both got here in kind of different ways. The youth of the D-backs, and obviously it is a very sore spot for Toronto Blue Jay fans. You got Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and you've also got Gabby Marino, playing for the D-backs and playing very well. Marino's been hitting in the 3-hole. So there's that. One really good trade, and some really, really good youth like Corbin Carroll. And Corbin Carroll is, for you baseball fans out there, you probably haven't heard a lot about Corbin Carroll through the whole season. He's the real deal. Should be Rookie of the Year. Absolutely. The Texas Rangers, some big free agent signings, right? Corey Seager, Marcus Semien. The Blue Jays couldn't hold on to Marcus Semien. He went to the Texas Rangers. And whammo, like boom, here we are. And also some pitching depth as well on the Rangers as they acquired Matt Scherzer as well. So this is unbelievable. This will be a great series, I think, and I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to win? Send me that email, shaney@realagriculture.com. And let's take a break, and let's get to the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada.
Your co-op grow team are your local experts because we live here too. Our agronomic specialists stay up to date with the latest research and technology to help support your entire farm operation. Talk to our team for advice tailored to your farm's needs. We have recommendations to help you optimize your crop yield and quality while enhancing the health of your land. Co-op, we're all growing together. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
Peter Johnson at WheatPete, RealAgriculture.com. I'm the host of The Word, and I love doing The Word. I love the questions. I love the challenges. I love having to apply agronomics to all over the globe and areas outside of my normal jurisdiction. Also, I love the feedback the most, where growers challenge me, tell me about their plot results, help me to learn. The Word, absolutely the best part of my day.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
And we start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada in Gads Hill, Ontario, and we're talking to Josh Boersen. Hey, Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Shaun. How are you doing?
Good, man. Okay, so are you into that corn yet?
We just dipped into it a few days ago, got one farm off.
Okay. How are the early results? Are we happy, disappointed? What are we thinking?
Well, it's off.
Oh no! Okay. Oh crap! That doesn't sound good.
We've well, it was okay, but the farm was saturated all year long. There's no tile in there, and starting to run into some late season health issues on the corn, and a bit of jib starting to show up. So it was kind of a get it out of the way rather than deal with it when Mother Nature turns here on us.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk this year about jib. It's kind of the discussion of the week here. I think there's a lot of people really focused on trying to get that corn out of that field as quickly as they possibly can, and knowing the risk, the longer it stays out there.
Well, a bit of that, I suppose, but yeah, at the same time, it's certainly not dry. We're ranging from 29 to 32%. Our drying bill isn't all that cool, so we are trying to wait on some of the rest of it a bit here. Yeah,
that's been the challenge this year. Is this corn has not dried down very fast at all.
Well, we really haven't had drying weather. Like it's overcast right now, and there was a bit of a shower this morning again. The wind has come up a bit here. It's kind of warm, I guess, but the warm fronts seem to bring rain with them, which doesn't really dry things out.
Yes. Now, do you have some tiled ground?
Nearly all of our ground that we would farm is tiled. This is a bit of an exception to the rule, I suppose, but the landlord that owns that farm, it's not a priority for him at the moment. So.
Oh, and so if you're renting it, it's like you better have a really long-term rent agreement in order for you to put that tile in.
Yeah, we did that once, and it didn't play out very well. I guess we didn't have the correct agreements in place, and so my dad has kind of sworn off doing that again. So we aren't, and the landlord I don't think is really into that either. They want to just capitalize on what they can get.
What's the saying? Fool me once, shame on you. fool me twice, shame on me, or something. It's something like that. That makes me think about that. As you look at the rest of the corn crop that's standing out there, are you feeling pretty good about it? Optimistic about some of the potential yields that are out in the field?
At this time, it looks reasonable. Like, I don't think we'll be too much below average. Maybe from a yield point of view, quality will be maybe our bigger challenge. We'll have to see. A lot of the other corn we have, we were able to get most, if not all, of our planned management practices done. So it's looking a little better. There was still a little stay green in it before we got the frost at the beginning of this week. So hoping it's still going to stand.
Yeah. And how about those beans?
Well, I guess touch wood, or we were lucky enough. Our beans were mature 2 weeks ago when we got that one window, and we were done our own. We were actually out the last day here yesterday helping another neighbor out with some beans that he still couldn't get in.
And white mold pressure, not like, what did you see for white mold pressure?
A bit. We generally don't see a lot in my area, or at least not on our farms, but until yesterday I would say only a little bit. But the farm we were at yesterday, I've never seen damage that significant in my entire life on a farm. It was almost 100 acres, and it basically wiped it all out.
Oh, really?
It looked like a 3,000 pound crop of edibles or better, maybe, and it might have been reduced to 1,000 pounds or less. I had never seen anything like that.
Oh, shoot. That sucks. Too bad.
So it is here.
Yeah,
we do see it.
That's a stark sort of like, oh goodness. Okay, we'll put away some of those past assumptions that we had. Now, did you plant some wheat?
As much as we planned to, yeah. We were able to chase the combine, and I think actually as of today, all of it or most of it's up. Yeah,
and it like good emergent. It looks good.
Yeah, the stuff we put in 3 or 4 weeks ago was just one farm that was a little bit earlier. It looks quite good. The rest of it, I was looking at some yesterday. It's poking along nice. I mean, a little warmer days certainly are going to help, but the emergence looks good, and I think we're going into winter, barring any nasty weather, reasonably well.
Okay. What's the forecast look like here? Because I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing, rain. I'm seeing rain for Gads Hill. Basically, next week there's more rain. That's not going to be helpful for harvest.
No, there was a mad rush last night. There were lights in the fields everywhere with a good stiff breeze keeping soybean combines rolling. But we were looking at the long term, and it doesn't look great. But they haven't been right with the long term forecast in, I don't know, maybe 3 to 5 years. It feels like anymore. So don't pay a lot of attention.
Now, when we have corn out in the field, what are we? Obviously, we would like dry and beautiful weather, open fall. Let's get it done. When it turns to where we have moisture, do we want to see? Do we want to see that ground freeze? So when it snows, we can still go. Like what are like if it's going to be wet, what are we hoping for to help alleviate some of the issues so you can get this corn crop off?
Well, probably cold with no snow would be the absolute ideal if it's going to remain wet. Where we are, we're in the snow belt. Lake effect snow off of Lake Huron can hit us at any time, mid-November on, and can either linger or it can get pretty heavy and then cause issues with the corn, or make it difficult to harvest. So then we'll see. I don't want to talk about that just yet. Let's wait till November maybe before we start worrying about it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't want to bring the mood down. I'm just kind of curious what I should be hoping for you. Mother Nature. It just not very nice sometimes, I tell you, at all. It's it's something. We've all dealt with it here in different parts for different reasons. So in terms of wrapping up 24, anything else going on the farm, or is all focused right now on this corn harvest?
Well, I guess we'll get to 24 when we get there. But
did I say 24? I meant 23. Oh, see, I'm already 12 months ahead.
Well, that's okay. It's good to be looking to the future, I suppose. But
I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, no, we're pretty much at corn harvest. I hope we don't have to do any significant amount of tillage. The one corn farm that we did harvest is going to need some attention. It wasn't dry, but without tile, and the forecast doesn't look like it was going to dry out. And harvesting that when it's snowy and wet is even worse. So we kind of just went in there anyways. But a bit of fertility, maybe, hopefully going to go down on the corn ground if Mother Nature plays nice just for the ahead of the bean crop here. I'd like to try and get that out of the way in the fall, and with potential prices looming, I'm not sure it might be the right choice, but next spring I'll know for sure. So,
do you have a on-farm dryer, or do you have to use a commercial dryer at the delivery point?
So we do have our own on-farm dryer for corn. We can handle most of our own commodities. Soys we generally don't handle, and try not to dry them at all if we don't have to. But yeah, we've had a dryer here since 2012 or so.
Yeah, paid for itself quickly.
Well, even more so on these wet years, I think, and with the way things are going, it's probably one of the better investments we've made, and I don't think we'd look back.
Yeah, well, and if Bill C-234 ever passes, you're going to get the exemption because it's an on-farm you're going to get the exemption from the carbon tax on it because it's an on-farm dryer. So that's also a benefit too. Hopefully, if that bill ever passes. So there you go. Well,
yeah, and hopefully we're just the first ones to get it, and everyone else gets it after the fact. It's in some way because, yeah. But I'm disappointed to see what happened at the Senate, the Ag Committee. But hopefully that straightens itself around.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Okay, well, hey, Josh, thanks so much for joining us here. I really appreciate it, and we'll chat with you again soon, okay?
Great to hear from you, Shaun.
We've got more of the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground, we are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
You know, there's a reason we call it the Corn School. Videos on everything from planter setup, weed control, field trial results, yield strategies, and so much more. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com has the information and advice you need to help you succeed. Brought to you by Pride Seeds and BASF, Corn School episodes are available at cornschool.com, from RealAgriculture.com, or as a podcast from your favorite streaming service. Download the latest podcast today.
I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture. And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to New Lieskard, Ontario, and we're talking to Chuck Amyot. Hey, Chuck, how's it going?
How's it going? Doing pretty good.
Okay, how are things going on the farm this week? You doing some corn?
Actually, neighbor wrapped up corn yesterday. We didn't have any left to do, but we just beat the rain on that, and we're doing pretty good.
Okay, and you're happy with the yield?
Yes, we actually were pretty much wrapped up all harvest here, and yields were pretty good. Not record-breaking, but a little above average, and we'll take it.
Yeah, so what crops did you have on the farm this year?
So we had some canola, soybeans, oats, and wheat.
Okay, so spring canola or winter canola?
Spring canola.
Spring canola, okay. And then were you happy with it?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, and so where do you typically market that to? Just to the terminal, or where do you market it to?
That's right. We just we just market it at the local elevator here, and they take care of that. I'm not actually sure where our local canola goes, to be honest.
Do you see there being in that New Lieskard area? Do you see there being more canola grown in the future?
Yes, we had quite a bit of struggle with pest and disease over the last few years, and it's actually starting to look like we're getting ahead of that. So, for varietal reasons and just better crop management and everything, we're starting to see more canola, and I think it's going to be hopefully it's going to be something we can keep growing in the future.
Yeah, and we're Ontario's starting small in this crop, but if you look at your own rotation, if canola acres were to increase, which crop kind of loses? Like, which one would get kind of pushed out a little bit?
I feel like there's a lot of pastures that are being taken over for crop production. So I feel it's probably hay and pastures that are going to be the biggest losers of more canola, or simply just more crops in general.
Well, that's ironic because that's sort of that's what's really happened in Western Canada. So that's there's some irony there. I guess there's a similar story being written for sure in that regard. So now that you got harvest all wrapped up, where does your attention turn to?
A little bit of a break, to be honest, but putting things back into shape and getting ready for winter. Winter comes pretty quick up here. So I'd say, just getting ready for winter is really what we're trying to do right now.
Yeah. So getting machinery cleaned up, put away, and all that kind of stuff. Do you start to focus on some of the management stuff for next year yet?
We should be, but in theory, that's something that we tend to put that off until the final, or till we absolutely have to deal with that. Yeah.
Okay. And sort of like a flip in mindset, right?
That's right. So right now it's more, get things ready, take a bit of a break, and kind of recuperate from the year that we just had. It was a good one. So it was actually there's lots of positives here in our region this year.
Yeah. So when you recoup and refresh, what do you like to do?
Normally, I like to do a lot of fishing, but this year we've got quite a bit of moisture all the time, so it's kind of putting those plans a little behind. But the ice is going to be here soon. We'll be ice fishing. We'll be snowmobiling. We'll get a bit of time to do some leisure stuff and think about the farm within that, obviously.
Yeah. Well, and you got some beautiful fishing around you. What's your favorite thing to fish for?
Definitely. So pike and bass are the ones we chase the most. But anything that bites is really something that we'll go for.
I will fish for anything as long as it bites. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Well put. So as you look back on this past year, do you view it as being a good year in your mind? Do you have any things you wish you would have done differently? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was actually a really good year. We had pretty good weather. We had some pretty good conditions all around. Crop prices were still fairly good. Input prices were a little higher than we would have liked to, but all around, if every year was like this year, it would be a lot easier to plan for future years, and we're in pretty good shape here. I would think that that's the sentiment I get from every grower in the region. We're doing pretty good, and we hope that it'll keep going. We're on 3 good years, and 3 good years in our region is often a long stretch. So we'll take it while it lasts.
Yeah. How long have you farmed in the area?
So I've been farming here since 2011. So 12 years.
And what took you to that area?
The area, the people. There's lots to. You don't want to get me going on that, but it's a great area, affordable farmland as well, and just the opportunity to actually be here. But the community itself is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and you're growing some of the crops, like, when we typically talk to people in Ontario, we hear corn and beans and wheat and edible beans and stuff. But you're growing some crops that are more typically grown in the Northern Plains or Western Canada, right? Oats and canola and things like that, because you're at a different area of Ontario, right? And it's different than, say, the southwest corner.
That's right. Actually, our weather is a lot more similar to what Saskatchewan would be like than what, we'll say, southwestern Ontario would be like. So
yeah,
we obviously, that comes with challenges. I'm sure your Western Canada listeners will sympathize with me. Sometimes, that brings some challenges that we have to deal with, but it does definitely give us the opportunity to grow different crops, for sure.
Yeah, well, like late springs, early frosts, different things like that. Indeed. Well, hey, Chuck, thanks for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. We'll check in with you maybe a little bit closer to spring, okay?
Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you for having me on.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, just south of Brandon. We're talking to Aaron Hargreaves. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Things are going pretty well around here. Weather's turned for the worse, but otherwise, yeah, things are pretty good.
Okay, yeah, it's unfortunately it's winter again. Do you have okay? First of all, I'm a combine harvest done, and did you get your fall work completed?
Yeah, well, the harvest is all done. We finished Wednesday of last week. Got the last of the corn in the bin. And, we managed to get most of the equipment cleaned up and put away last week while the weather was still nice, but, tiny little bit of field work left to do. Probably not going to get done. We were just going to try to level out some tile rows and remove some rocks. I'm not too sure if we're going to get that opportunity, before spring at this point, but otherwise all the basic field work got done. Yeah. So, we're sitting pretty good.
Yeah. And supposed to be some more snowfall in different parts of the prairies here for the rest of the week. Now, did you do nitrogen in the fall here, or will you do that in the spring?
We do everything in the spring. Yeah, we stopped doing fall nitrogen quite a few years ago now. So, no, we don't. Especially when we started growing corn, we just didn't have time to do both. So we did quit growing corn for a few years. We grew some again this year, but honestly, we think our crops are better when the nitrogen's applied in the spring.
Yep. Everybody's got to do it the way that works for them, right? And so you got to kind of balance it out. What can we actually accomplish? What can we get done? And what works for our farm? And the next person I have on here could be like, nope, we quit doing the spring and we do it in the fall now because of these reasons. Every farm's a little bit different. That's it makes kind of the world go round. As you look back on the 2023 growing season, how do you feel about how it all transpired?
Well, I guess you would just say harvest was probably a pleasant surprise. We really weren't expecting crops to be even average. We're probably expecting slightly below average crops. They looked pretty good from the road, and they looked really promising early in the year. We were just getting perfect weather through seeding. A few half-inch rains, and then through June we had some nice rains. A big one the 1st of July, and we thought, that's it, like one or two more rains and we've got this crop in the bag. But we really didn't see any rain for about 5 weeks after the 1st of July. And luckily the first 2 weeks of July were really cool. I think that's maybe what helped save us, but it was a long dry spell, and yet the crops fared okay. Pleasant surprise. We're happy.
Yeah, and I think you're in the majority. Everybody had different expectations. We're not at all saying here hey, better than expected, where it's like some sort of super crop that we had out there from a supply standpoint, but it is kind of funny that we sort of underestimated what this crop was capable of doing. I don't know if that's whether it's practices or genetics or what it is, but it seems to be a bit of the common thread. Have you been hearing the same thing from some of your neighbors?
Yeah, I think so. Even from some of the places that, I toured southern Manitoba this year, and there were some places the crops looked very poor, and, guys were expecting pretty much abysmal yields, and And, while they were still way below average, it just seemed like 10 or 15 bushels better than expected was kind of the norm this year. And, that held true for most of the crops, I think. And obviously there were some areas that just got no rain, or, there's always that pocket here and there that really suffers. But I think on average, at least in Manitoba and southern Manitoba, guys were just a little bit surprised, which was more there than what they.
Yeah. How much work have you put into planning for 2024? Variety and hybrid selection, fertilizer purchases, diesel, all that kind of stuff. How much have you committed to taking care of some of that work?
The fertilizer is it's all on farm and bins for next year already. Canola seed is bought. Wheat seed is not. I think we know what varieties we're going to go with. We just need to probably phone around and get some pricing. And soybeans, corn. The crop plan is it's roughed in, I guess you'd say. It's never locked in stone around here until the crop almost goes in the ground. But we don't change much. We try to keep a pretty similar rotation, and we don't go chasing markets. So we just do what works best on our farm agronomically, and we kind of feel that long term that's gonna pay off for us.
Yeah, and I think too, once you make the decision, right or wrong, it's you just kind of got to move on. And I find a lot of it's so easy to fall into that trap of woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? And if you're scared of making the wrong decision, you get sort of that paralysis by analysis, as the saying goes. So it's there's a lot of decisions to make in any sort of growing season, pre and during it. So you got to get through the list, and once you kind of commit to that decision, do it and move on to the next one, right?
Yeah, that's the game we play for sure. Whether it's what crop you seed, or what you do in your grain marketing. Once it's done, it's done. You made the best decision you could at the time with the information you had, and you can't predict the weather. You can't predict the future. So sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. All you can really do is hope that you're right more than you're wrong, I guess.
Yeah. Any new equipment purchases, used or new, for 24?
Yeah, we did get new combines, it's not here yet, but we've ordered new combines. Tractors, we are on the fence. We're not sure. I guess we have to decide. They're putting the pressure on us. We decide here in the next day or two if we're gonna do a few 4-wheel drives. That'll probably be most of it. If we do something with tractors, maybe a harrow bar or something like that, we're probably due for an upgrade. But combines for sure, tractors are maybe, and a harrow bar is going to be for sure in there, and possibly one more land roller too, I guess.
Yeah. Have you ever done those like multi-year, like where you commit to where we're flipping these combines every year for a series of like 2, 3, 4, 5 years, or like do you get into those kind of things, or what do you do?
We have been flipping combines every year for the most part. If our dealer comes to us and says, "Hey, look, the market's down. We're not sure we're gonna have home for your trades this year. Do you want to hang on to them another year, and we'll do them again next year?" We're obliged to work with them and do what makes sense for everyone. So we have been doing pretty much yearly flips the last number of years on the combines in particular. Tractors and stuff, not so much. They just, not as many moving parts, and I just don't know if it's as necessary. So, we have done a bit of that. Not like some farms where they flip every piece of equipment every year. We've never gone to that extent.
Yeah.
But here and there we do it. We know we usually use sprayers every 4 years. Tractors would be every 3 years, every 4 years. Combines every year or two. And we try to keep things fairly up to date, but not like some farms that are every year we're doing the whole farm and that's that. So
it's going to be interesting. Like, I think, I think it was in the last John Deere earnings call where they talked about like, are we all, maybe possibly being at kind of the top of some of the price increases for construction and ag equipment. And, I'm sure, if they're saying it, all the other manufacturers are thinking about it too. I know that's going to be kind of like farmers are going to be like, finally, like a long time ago. But it'd be interesting what happens going forward here in terms of some of the pricing, because it has been quite steamy for new and used, like, to put it quite frankly, since the beginning of the pandemic.
It's been wild. You look at a price of a combine and it's just absolutely mind blowing. Or even, four-wheel drive tractor, anything, really, any piece of agricultural equipment. It seems like the price is just astronomical compared to what it was 4 or 5 years ago. So, I do think we're probably getting near the top, but it will depend on, largely in part, I hate to say it, it's just going to depend on the profitability of farms.
Yeah.
And, that's unfortunately, it's not a secret. They will continue to charge more. Farmers can continue to pay it. And when it comes to the point where we can no longer afford to pay it, then, I do think you could see some correction, at least see some discounts come back in. Will it be as big as a fertilizer correction? Probably not. But certainly if times get tough on the farm, so to say, then equipment sales will slow down enough, and, it goes supply and demand, and they'll have to do something, right? So.
Well, Aaron, thanks so much for joining us here. Hunker down, get out your winter coat, put on that toque. You're going to need it here, as it looks like we're getting some very wintry conditions. A real flip from, say, a week ago. So, Aaron, thanks a lot for joining us here on the Farmer Rapid Fire. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, Shaun.
We'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, right after this.
Infuse some energy into your next corporate event, customer meeting, or conference with RealAg Radio, Canada's national agriculture radio show. Create a unique experience at your next event with host Shaun Haney, broadcasting RealAg Radio live on SiriusXM, featuring exciting guests, captivating interviews, and the latest news from the agriculture community. Contact advertising at RealAgriculture.com or call 587-787-1795 to book your on location with RealAg Radio today.
What were the issues in your fields this year? Did you do a soil sample? What is your soil sample telling you about some of the nutrient issues that you might be having going into next year? What herbicides did you use? What residues you might be concerned about? What weed issues did you have? What crop residues did you have? How well do you know your fields?
Get the answers to all the questions you have about your pulse crop at the Pulse School on RealAgriculture.com.
And we take the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, to Blaine Lake, Saskatchewan. And we're talking to Mike Shewchuk. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Shaun. Good to chat with you again here.
Is Blaine Lake frozen over with some of this cold weather?
It is, man. It was a cold one here last night. Like all the little flues, ponds are all frozen over. So yeah, it's winter setting in that time of year.
Yuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the truck didn't want to start so nice this morning, and we're getting some fertilizer right now too, and they're having a tough time starting.
Do you like winter?
I like snowmobiling, and that's about the only part of winter that I enjoy.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've chatted with you about this before, but one of the things that terrifies me, like, I don't know if I would ever do it, is like going snowmobiling in the mountains. That
oh yeah, no, you got to do it, Shaun.
Really?
You won't have more fun than snowmobiling in the mountains. Like, it's
okay. Hold on,
it's a blast.
All I hear about and all I see is reels of guys snowmobiling in the mountains, and the sled gets stuck, and then everybody has to dig it out. That really? Yeah. That's what we're going with is fun.
Well, it keeps you in shape.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so as we wrap up the 2023 crop year, how do you look back on it? A good one? Not great? What are your thoughts?
I'd say average. Like our yields were probably a little bit below average, pretty close, right around average, I'd say. Commodity prices, I wished I would have, booked in some crops at a better price, but still there's that kind of hangover worry from 21 of, being short on contracts. So So, a guy's kind of scared to book in crops when they were at a better price at the elevators. So, but overall, I can't complain. It looked, through the summertime, like it wouldn't be much of a crop, but somehow, especially where it caught a few more rains, crops produced. So
yeah,
I can't really complain too bad.
Now, Mike, you're a seed grower. How is the seed business right now?
Good. Yeah, I just dropped off some samples at the lab here last week, so get some germination results back and things like that, just to kind of see how seed quality is. I don't intend, there to be much seed quality issues. Everything came off in decent quality and stuff like that. So, but as for on the sales side of things, people are and I'm reaching out to people too, just to get some varieties moving. People are looking at new wheat varieties and stuff like that. So business as usual, I guess, on the seed side of things.
Okay, give us you're here. You might as well tell us what new wheat variety. Which one are you excited about?
Oh, there's new midge tolerant one. Hodge is out this year from FB Genetics. So that one's been pretty popular along with Hockley. Some of those new CWRS ones that, guys are always just looking for the latest genetics, and us too. It's you were in the same boat as being a seed grower in the past there. It's always neat seeing those new varieties come, and some of them don't pan out the way that you would expect them to.
Yeah.
Growing them on the farm a few years, and but it's very exciting to be part of that process of the genetics coming through our hands, from the breeders to our hands, into the commercial producers' hands.
You're right. I am a recovering seed grower.
Recovering.
And I do. I not all varieties work out. I think I have PTSD from this is the new malt variety the maltsters are gonna love.
Oh boy, don't get me started.
Exactly. I think we should set up a support group.
No kidding. Yeah. Oh boy. Well, it looks like things are finally, moving away from Copeland Metcalf, but look back on those genetics, and they were good for their time and their span of their life cycle. But, those genetics were developed 30 years ago or plus, 20, 30 years ago. You got to move forward, but yeah, it's always, what comes first, the maltster wants this, brewer wants this. So it's definitely a slow process to introduce new genetics there.
Hey, here's a rule to live by, Mike. And you can get out your pencil and write this down. The maltster's never first.
Exactly.
Okay. How's your plug? Okay, now I'm gonna get a couple emails from some maltsters. Okay. How is planning going for 2024?
Good. Yeah, actually, we're just meet with the agronomist here in the next couple of weeks. Finalize some fertility plans going forward. Just finished floating on some fall nitrogen here the other day, and as for fertility planning, I think seeding plans are probably 90% figured out. So it seems like a guy's got to do that earlier and earlier, just to figure out where things are going. And when you look at different weed pressures over the years, where pulse acres are going, stuff like that, just got to plan early and earlier. But as for next year, I think probably ahead of the game.
Do you have bad root rot issues in your area for pulses?
Yeah, Phenomyces is a bad one. Yeah, for sure. We're on a minimum 10-year rotation between pulses here. Yellow peas.
Whoa. Repeat that. 10 years.
Minimum 10-year rotation. We've pushed things to 8 years, and we've seen a Phenomyces issue. Luckily, we've been dry the last couple of years, but we still don't push it. It's got to be 10 years because it is such a devastating disease. It'll bring your crop from 50, 60 bushel pea crop down to a 10, 20 bushel pea crop in bad cases. It's just devastating. So, and the only, the main driver for getting a decent yield is just having that long rotation.
Yeah. Man, I really hope we can find a genetic solution there. Where
100%, yeah.
Can you imagine a lentil variety or a pea variety that was tolerant to Aphanomyces? And like, as a seed grower, just think about, as somebody that's retailing, like, think about the demand for that kind of a trait. Oh my goodness.
100%, yeah. And it will come. I hope it'll come. And of course, we need the research dollars, the money going back, the plant breeding to get that. But hopefully we will get it one day. But, and once we do get something like that, especially in our area, it'll change, the crop rotations. We're not going to rely as much on maybe wheat and canola. And, a lot of pea acres have been dwindling just due to this devastating disease. So once we get those genetics, it'll be a game changer.
So I just Googled Blaine Lake, and it says population 500, but you are the gateway to the lakes. So are there big gates, or is that we just imaginary gates?
It's just imaginary gates. Yeah. There's definitely no gate to pass through, but it is a beautiful area. Just to the north of us, lots of lakes.
Fishing! My goodness! Sure. Like there's people that travel from all over the place, and I'm talking like outside of Canada that come to northern Saskatchewan to do things like fishing. It is beautiful. Oh yeah, there's beautiful fishing destinations and. Maybe a bit of a plug for the American listeners out there, but come to Saskatchewan. It's absolutely beautiful. Hey, listen, there is a lot of fishermen listening to this show, our audience across the U.S. Mike is entirely correct. If you have not fished in places like northern Manitoba, parts of Ontario, northern Saskatchewan, some of the best fishing you will ever find anywhere in the world. So there you go. We're doing our work for Canadian tourism. Mike, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Farmer Rapid Fire. All the best to you, and we'll chat with you again soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Shaun. Appreciate chatting with you.
I think one week we should dedicate the entire show to your activities during the winter season. We talked a lot about fishing today, more so than normal. A little bit of snowmobiling mentions, that as well. But it'd be fun. Just like a fishing and gaming episode of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Talk about hunting. Oh, that would be a great one. Okay, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to finish up with Colleen Redlick from Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this.
What's next for your fields? At Pioneer, delivering industry-leading genetics drives everything we do. From the scientists in the lab to our local teams with boots on the ground. We are determined to get there first. Developing top-performing products, proven in more growing conditions than ever before. Pioneer. What's next happens here. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more.
Canola is more than just a pretty face in the prairie landscape. It's a big business, both here and around the world, that requires you to be informed and up to date on everything it takes to grow a successful crop. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com has an expert library of video resources covering markets, agronomy, and more to help you grow a healthy and profitable canola crop. Visit canolaschool.com today. Brought to you by BASF Canada and Invigor Hybrid Canola.
And we finish up this week's Farmer Rapid Fire with our sponsor, Pioneer Seeds Canada. We're talking to Colleen Redlick. She is the area agronomist for Pioneer Seeds Canada in northeastern Saskatchewan. Colleen, great to have you on the show.
Great, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's start off. We'd like to get a bit of an update what you saw in terms of yields in your territory there in northeastern Saskatchewan.
Yeah, so I think it was the year of much variability for my area. There's not really a generalization. So I mentioned to you before, my area goes all the way from, Hanley area up to Hudson Bay. So we had a wide range of conditions and saw, anything from 20 bushel an acre yields all the way up to guys in the 70s and 80s. So it was kind of a wild year, and you never knew what to say to somebody because there was so much variability. One positive thing I think we saw with canola, and I said it before, it's kind of a wonderful weed in some ways, is a lot of guys in the Northeast were thinking it wasn't going to be a great crop and had a little bit of late season rain or showers, and And crops that they thought were looking at, 25, 30 bushel canola ended up coming off 45, 50. So even though yields were maybe a little lower than some guys were hoping for, I think we did get a few nice surprises, and it really shows the resilience of that canola crop.
Yeah, and on the lower end of the spectrum from a yield standpoint, that's lack of moisture. Because when I hear northeastern Saskatchewan, and this is maybe foolish me, I think of better moisture conditions than, say, what's happening in the southwest corner of the province.
Yeah.
But it wasn't all just balloons and rainbows up there in the northeast. There was some lack of moisture there too, right?
That's a good way to put it. It was not all balloons and rainbows and unicorns like maybe they normally get. So yeah, we definitely had some pockets where things were dry and maybe where, we were just wanting moisture at times and not receiving it, right? So things were starting off good. We got unreal establishment, great crops coming, and then the tap kind of just shut off after, June in some places, and things got a little dry. So again, I don't think it was a crop failure for a lot of, especially that true northeastern part of my area, but just not maybe what some guys were hoping for out of this year for sure.
Yeah. So the other thing that we see at this time of the year is like a really quick transition, especially when we see winter conditions kind of become a little bit more of the norm at this time of the year, unfortunately. A little chilly in some parts of Western Canada, but we, harvest for the most part across the major crops pretty much wrapped up, which is good when the weather turns like this. But we move from talking about 23 crop and some of the yields like we just did, and all of a sudden we move to trial results and hybrid selection for 24. It's a very abrupt change. I'm sure you are hunkered down at your computer crunching a lot of plot results right now.
Yeah, you're right about that. We definitely go from one type of busy to completely another. So we saw that this last week. We just got that blast of snow yesterday, I guess, in this area. So everybody was out, getting the anhydrous down, getting fall fertilizer down. And then exactly like you said, it snowed and everybody's at the computer. So I've been getting a lot of those calls about, what we saw and what they should do for 2024, which is great to see.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that people need to be considering when they start to think about that hybrid selection, whether it's, canola or other crop types? What questions should they be asking themselves? Because you just don't jump to, well, I'm going with variety XYZ. You should kind of go through a bit of a process. So what should that look like?
Yeah. So, I think take a look at every company has great trials, right? Pioneer, we do tons of on-farm trials. Look at multiple locations for one thing. Don't just go by, this hybrid did well on my farm this 1 year, so I'm going to go whole hog on that. You really want to get an idea of how a hybrid performed, across multiple fields. So, talking to your neighbors, talking to the seed suppliers, obviously a good place to start to kind of get a bit of a feel for it. But, what's a normal year anymore, right? I don't think we feel like this year was a normal year. So make sure you're not kind of putting blinders on and just say, okay, this hybrid won one trial, so I'm going to go full farm on that. It's really good to keep your options open and diversify. Another thing I think that we take a look at and certainly see in the trials is some of the other traits, right? So the disease package that you have on it. This year was a little bit drier in some areas. Maybe disease wasn't top of mind, but we're seeing still club roots moving, taking a look at what the club root resistant package is on your hybrid for hybrid selection, taking a look at things like blackleg rating, sclerotinia resistance if you have a wetter area, which we did see some pockets of sclerotinia this year, which was maybe unexpected for a few growers. And then verticillium, right? Talking to your seed supplier if that is a concern, and we know that's going to move through Western Canada and see what that looks like. So that's something that certainly when we start looking into this trial data, you're looking at all those factors. Like yield is that one that jumps out to guys, obviously, because that's where the money comes from. But all these things that contribute to growing a good and sustainable canola crop really should be considered.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, Colleen, thanks so much for joining us here today. Really do appreciate it. And thanks again to Pioneer Seeds Canada for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire.
Of course, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Of course, for more than 90 years, Pioneer has developed and tested products to meet your local challenges with new Optimum Glide canola, Enlist E3 soybeans, to performing corn products and industry-leading traits and technologies to maximize your yield potential. Pioneer's on-the-ground teams can help you get the right products for your fields. Visit pioneer.com/Canada to learn more. If you have any feedback on anything you heard today, or you want to update us on how things are going on your farm or on the ranch or in the livestock barn, send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or call that RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. Thanks, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with RealAg Radio. We'll chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the RealAg Radio podcast, brought to you by Economics. With one-of-a-kind tools, research, and content, Economics is farming's go-to information resource. Find it all on nutrient-economics.com or download the app.